Can't find out what to buy at the computer store? Benjamin Rockwell's got the answer. And now, with the quest of enriching your experience with computers, here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. That is where you can find, yes, the computer buying guide for this Christmas. You can find a number of different things up there, including the podcast. If you missed any portion of any of our shows, you can get it there. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888. That's 888-6373-888. Wow, coming up this hour, we're just in those last little bits and pieces of time before Christmas. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a brand new show on Christmas Eve. We're going to have a brand new show on New Year's Eve. And, of course, CES is coming up after that, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And I think, not sure yet, but I think we're going to have a lot of content. We might even go to 2 weeks' worth of content just because it falls on a weekend. So we're going to get as much content as we can from the first few days of CES, and then we're going to go back and we're going to get the last few days of CES. So that'll be very interesting. So let's see here. Christmas planning tips coming up later on this hour. A lot of gift ideas and more. Of course, it's all going to be nerdy stuff. That's because we are nerds. We're a bunch of computer nerds. That's why our news, which is what we always do next, or almost always, is kind of on the nerdy side. As a matter of fact, California. Now, okay, I'm going to preface this with saying that, yes, I understand that there are 49 other states, and people are in those 49 other states listening to me. And, yes, there are some Californians listening to me. But what's happened is California has adopted the first United States energy-saving rules for computers. What are we looking at? They have mandated certain energy efficiency concepts for computers and monitors, and they basically point out that these devices account for 3% of the home electric bills and 7% of commercial power costs in the state. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to reduce this down. They're trying to basically save consumers, that's what they say, $373 million a year. And they're trying to save as much electricity annually as it takes to power all of the homes in San Francisco. Now, this is an interesting concept, but what that means is this is going to affect the efficiency, the energy efficiency of your computer, wherever you're at, whether you're in California or outside of California. Why? Because just like we have in 49 other states, we have no laws in regards to, or very few laws in regards to, emissions standards for cars. Yes, California has these wonderful little things that they put into cars called catalytic converters, and there's all kinds of different things. We go through a smog check every year or two, depending on how old the car is and stuff like that. So we lead the country in all kinds of these different weird laws, which eventually sometimes we find out are not all that bad. Sometimes they're actually pretty good. So weigh it out, think about it. But we're looking at concepts that along the way here, they're talking about large amounts of electricity that they're hoping to save. Now, that means there could be some weird stuff coming along from the manufacturers saying, well, the way we're going to do this is by instituting this feature, quote-unquote feature, or this particular item. So, who knows? It'll be interesting to see how this all evolves. A woman by the name of Janice Rogers is a driver for Uber in the state of Virginia. She was down in Williamsburg, Virginia, which is pretty much, I'm going to say it's down in the southern end. It's like the north part of the southern end of Virginia. And she picked up a fare that wanted to go to Brooklyn, 400 miles away. And they believe that this is the longest record. She is 64 years old. She drove from there, basically from Williamsburg, Virginia, up to New York, and then all the way back down to her home in Newport News, Virginia. And this is quite an amazing thing. The one thing that sort of came out of this is that the drive was about $300. $300. I'm sorry, that's really that's a long drive. It averages out roughly for the time she did about $9 an hour. This is basically she spent money on gas and tolls, and of course she doesn't even figure in any of the information in regards to how much of a toll that was on her car. I want you to think about that. How much of a demand on your car is that? Or perhaps even the demand on her body. When you consider that's an 8-hour drive each way, 16 hours of driving, 800 miles. Wow. I used to drive as a field tech. This is back in 91. I was a field tech. And it was one of those things where I drove a lot. And I kept on going to different places. I'd fix a computer. I'd spend 15 minutes there. And then I'd drive for an hour. And then I'd spend 15, 20 minutes fixing another computer. Then I'd drive an hour. And, it kept on going like that. I got in a lot of driving. I got in a lot of talk radio. I will tell you. Anyways, there's a new ransomware out there. And this particular ransomware has come up with a very interesting concept, which is really scary. What they're doing is they're offering, if you get 2 other people to install the link, and if you get them to pay, we'll let you have free removal. What? Yeah. Let's call up our friends, and we're going to get them to install this software so we don't have to pay to be released from it. That's really a scary thing. And I also saw this last week that somebody, a sheriff's department, I think it was, they basically paid a ransom for basically getting their information back as well. This is a concept that we're seeing more and more of these, and it's getting scarier. I'm quite amazed that we are still continuing in this direction, that they would try to go through and get our information, encrypt it, and then hold it over our heads. Why am I amazed? Because we need to do backups. That's really all you have to do. If you do a backup, you're safe. I say this all the time. Backup, 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 backup. There is a bill that is pending, and this is a bill that's being put on by the Congressional Autism Caucus and the Alzheimer's Disease Task Force. These guys are working to basically come up with this law that would be allowing the Justice Department to award law enforcement agencies the ability and right to find individuals with autism or seniors with Alzheimer's who have wandered away. Now, I like this on one level of, we're using technology to help people. But right now we're talking about, simply we're helping out people who may not be able to find their way home. But then we think about, we'll use this technology to find kids so that they can find their way home. Oh, well, let's use this technology to find people who are, we just want to talk to them. They're just suspects. Oh, let's use this technology to track everybody. I mean, this is one of those things. I know. We always talk about this slippery slope. We always, both sides of the political aisle, we've got these different ideas of what a slippery slope is. But I am looking at this, and we keep going down these different roads of saying we're going to do just this one little bit of technology. And we find out later on that the technology has been abused, completely, totally abused, such as the ability to update phones. Just update them and make them absolutely useless. That's what's going to happen with Samsung. They're rendering the Note 7 useless with the next update. And it depends on when what carrier you have when those updates are going to come out, and if they're going to be coming out. Verizon has said, and we don't think we're going to do it. Sprint is diving in, and it's all getting kind of weird. And who would have thought that would have been a potential item a matter of 5 years ago, 3 years ago? Yeah, it's here now. This is Benjamin Rockwell. Christmas stuff coming up next here on Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. Now, we are dealing with, it's a week away from Christmas. And this is, of course, the time of year when you need to prepare. You need to make sure everything's covered. And I can go through and I can tell you all about the best computer to buy at this time of year. Well, we did that already. I can talk about some various gift items, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. And we've got all kinds of different things. And coming up next, actually, I'm going to have Marty Winston on, and he's going to give us some of his tech tips. But I wanted to hit on some of my tech tips. And look, I am not going to be able to prepare you for any and all disasters that may come your way this Christmas season. But let's give this a shot. Here are some timeless tips that I've assembled for your Christmas holiday to be just a little bit better. All right, let's start off. My wife and I, with my son leaving the house, we mentioned this a week or two ago, we decided finally to get an Xbox for ourselves, which excites me. It's fun. If you're looking at getting any new system, and I don't care if this is a laptop, a desktop, if this is an iPad, an Xbox, PS4, any of these, any gaming console, anything that takes updates, right off the top, the amount of downloads that are needed is huge. And this goes for the games, too. I'm going to just make a prediction here. On Christmas Eve, Christmas morning, the internet is going to be slightly busier than you might imagine. The winter storm will take out the power for 3 hours. The internet's going to be down for a few more, especially across the country, so you have to get things ready ahead of time. How do I know this? Okay, so I hooked up the new Xbox, and immediately it said, we have to update. Oh, great. So let's sit back. It'll take only a matter of a couple of minutes. No, it was somewhere around 2 gigs, maybe a gig and a half. It doesn't matter how big it was. It was something where I went and I watched a half-hour show or something like that on DVR, and it went through and it did its updates. Windows Update itself takes a lot longer. This was Xbox Update. Oh, here, I made a note. 1.2 gigs in size. That was the first update. That's from a Xbox One S. All right. Now, I also went to go play a game. I had a game that I was particularly excited for, and when it arrived, yeah, it also took forever too. How long? I think that one was a 6 gig download, but they had to download another 30 gigs beyond that. So it had to download 6 gigs before I could start playing the game. Plan, prepare ahead, find out what kind of downloads you're going to need. Yeah. If you're setting up something, it's a gift, you have to repackage it back up. But it's better to do that now than having the kids sitting there for 4 hours come Christmas morning. No, I want to play. It's not doing anything. Yeah. Special cables, adapters, converters. Look, I hate getting products, and they come not inclusive of everything that a normal person would need to get it running immediately. Batteries not included. Well, yes, tools are not included, and the HDMI cable is not included. Look, this happens a lot more than it should. So let's plan ahead and check what accessories might be good. Okay, batteries. When we get into the next segment, Marty and I will talk about batteries, I'm sure. The battery eliminator pays for itself within a few sets of batteries. I have no idea why people don't get these more often. The HDMI cable. This is a plus if you have a new television, you have a video game console, entertainment system, or whatever you might imagine. Yes, this could also include whatever bizarre converter. There's sometimes when you have these weird things. I know that I got, a long time ago, I got a new stereo system. Well, I had to get an optical cable. And I totally forgot about the optical cable. That's another trip back to the electronics store. Okay, here, I just need an optical cable. Okay, great. It's $3 or $4 or whatever it was. It was nothing, but it was one of those thoughts that I totally forgot about it. Now, this also includes the surge suppressor, which, okay, I mentioned these last week with battery backups, but nothing says thoughtfulness than planning out these mundane items along with the regular gift. Otherwise, it'll get hooked up the best way it can for Christmas morning, and it'll be a year, 2 or 3, and someone will say, hey, I thought we had a surge suppressor here. Now, what did I say about $5 power strips? Remember that? It's just an extension cord with extra plugs. You don't want one. Here's a bonus item. I want you to find someone who has the product already and ask them what they suggest as well. Or you can even, contact me. Go to the website, computertalkradio.com, and just go in there and say, hey, I'm looking at this, that, or the other thing, whatever it is you're planning on. And say, I'm wondering, I'm getting this new game here, this new video game. All right, yeah, it's going to take a download. I'm getting this new console. Yeah, what kind of television do you have? Does it have this type of input on it? Great, we can go in that direction. We can piece this all apart for you. When we even talk about computers, some of these different things that we talk about, if you're getting a new computer for someone, if you've got it in the budget, include in one of those 4 terabyte hard drives. Even if you're doing an Xbox, don't pay the extra $100 for the terabyte drive in the Xbox or what. I forget what the pricing is. I don't have that in front of me. I get a 4 terabyte drive for $100, and that's an external drive, but it's already that USB 3, so it's already that higher standard. It's going to be faster or as fast as the internal drive. By all means, think about that as an add-on accessory. Instead of getting the top-of-the-line Xbox, you're just upgrading it by putting on that external hard drive, which has more space and eventually could be used for something else, too. Oh, yeah. Now, what if you're building, assembling, or installing anything? Look, there's a number of different instructions, but usually along the way of, did you download and read the instructions ahead of time? Yes, we have to do this. We always talk about reading the manual, but how many people don't? Well, they think it's just not convenient here on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Christmas, 3 a.m. in the morning. Look, put these instructions, these manuals, whatever it is, on your Kindle, tablet, smartphone, computer, whatever. And I want you to read them in detail. In detail. You go through everything at least twice before Christmas Eve. What? Twice? Yeah. Look, the idea here on these manuals is to be knowledgeable about what is coming up next. There's a radio trick. Sometimes what we do is we will go through and we will practice something that we're going to talk about. We'll practice it. Let's say there's just a matter of 5 sentences. I go to record a commercial, for instance. I will practice that commercial 3 or 4 times and then read it off. Sometimes not, but it's a matter of you're going to be doing this with the instructions too. Doing it thoroughly, planning it carefully with all the tools and more ready to go. Marty Winston's got his own ideas here as well, and he'll be coming up next here on Computer Talk Radio. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get computer hardware. It's not easy, as there are so many stores that have gone out of business, so many shady characters online, or they're simply not capable of handling diverse needs. In 1979, 2 guys got together and built a computer company that could serve your nerdy needs. Micro Center. The wide range of products at Micro Center includes even the latest of Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and other hobbyist-level computers. They also have drones. They've got them in all price categories, from toys to, oh boy. Look, you're looking for console gaming, home automation. Micro Center's got that. Hardware, software, accessories, or, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. From Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888. Marty Winston joins me now, and Marty is a treasure trove of information in regards to, well, I don't know, how many kids do you have, actually?
Well, none, because they're all grown up now.
Right, but
I
over
I have a boy and a girl.
Okay.
And my boy is 30, and my girl is 35.
Okay, so you've had some gift-giving experience over the years, I'm sure.
What? You're supposed to give them gifts?
It helps them. They tend to be a little bit more responsive if they don't have to go begging for gruel every Christmas Eve.
Now you tell me.
So, one of the things
you want to deal with the ho 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 for this Christmas, right? You want to know what's hot, what's tech, what's a wreck, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Well, let's start with the one thing that nobody ever has enough of. And you know what it is. What is it?
That would be HDMI cables. No, wait, it would be batteries.
Exactly right. Because no matter how many sets you buy, the kids will be through all of them by lunchtime. And historically, big surprise, the best-selling day of the year for batteries is the day after Christmas every year.
Of course, yeah. What kind of guidelines would you give for people right now? They're going to go on out and buy batteries. Would you say just buy the entire case, or
yes. Yeah, I would go bargain shopping. I go to the bulk stores. I'd go to Sam's Club and Costco and those guys, or maybe check Amazon and buy the piece of battery that looks like half the size of a dozen eggs and just put it away somewhere. You're going to go through them.
Yeah. My theory on this is if I have enough batteries to last through the next year, I'm covered.
If you do.
If I do, I figure at that point, if I buy the super 40, 50, 80 pack of AA batteries, if it doesn't,
that's a good start. That's a good start.
Yeah.
But what you also have to do is whenever it's half full, you're late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know, like the Xbox, right? So the Xbox, each controller has to have 2 AA batteries. If you buy a brand new television, that's going to have either the AA or the AAA batteries. Yeah, there's an entire just mess of batteries you're going to have to get. So and stock up.
It's always an afterthought. Just like everybody who's getting a TV set. Let me ask you, how are you going to put it on the wall?
You have to have a wall mount, of course. Yes.
Yes. Or a base mount, or a table big enough to handle that wide thing. I mean, really, why did you get a 150-mile wide TV set? It takes you 2 trips to see one picture.
Exactly. And then we have to remember how are we going to hook this up? Are we going to, do we have cable, or are we relying on an antenna? The televisions do not come with antennas. They don't usually even come with an HDMI cable. So if you're doing an upgrade there and your cable box has an HDMI out, that's an issue too, isn't it?
It is indeed. Now, let's be fair about it. You've already seen the Christmas specials. You really want that thing for Super Bowl, so you'll have time afterwards to get
definitely
the cables and the stands you need. But if it's for the kids or for the spouse, different kind of ball game. How about the smartphones? Let me remind you something. Most of the country, it's winter.
Yes.
And you walk outside with your new smartphone in winter, what do you have? Snow in a smartphone.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't live in a snow territory. For me to go to snow, it's a 2-hour drive up into the mountains. So
well, for now, but the weather gods have heard you. Be careful.
Yeah, true. We every once in a while we do get a slight dusting of snow. It lasts about 4 minutes on the ground.
So think about the things people are getting. They're getting toys, right? They're getting consoles. They're getting portable gear. They're probably getting smartphones if the timing on the contract supports that. Tablets, maybe notebooks, right? Now, you've got notebooks, you've got tablets, you've got that kind of stuff. It's pretty easy. It's going to work out of the box, and what you want to do is make sure it stays home until you can buy protection for it. And that stuff goes on sale right after Christmas, so enjoy that. Then, of course, you've got the guys who are getting game consoles.
Yes.
The game console tends to come with 2 really dippy games that the kids don't want to play.
Sure.
What do they do? They take the game console to their friend's house. And what happens when they bring it back home? Something's missing or broken.
Right. There's always a cable missing or yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
a battery cover.
Yeah. The first thing you do as soon as the presents are open on Christmas Day, the first thing you do before you let them out of the house, while you're taking pictures of everybody opening their presents, also take pictures of the product so you know what all the cords that go with it should be.
Yes, I like that. I hadn't thought about that one. What other kinds of last-minute items do we have here that we need to plan on for Christmas?
Well, people never know what time it is, and little simple things like alarm clocks can be kind of cool if you find a good one. People in their cars want to buy too much stuff. Try to ignore most of that. You probably don't need another power puck to keep your phone charged because that is probably handled one way or another. The things people really need, really are things like hankies. Stay away from the tech. You can get tech any time of year. But if you need a hanky and the one in your pocket looks like Swiss cheese, you're going to wish you had a hanky.
I like that. I hadn't thought about that. any advice on some of the accessories? I don't know. I'm thinking like earbuds or anything like that.
Well, if you're going to buy earbuds, and this isn't a very good present, buy something like Lysol wipes or some disinfecting wipe, because earbuds pick up a lot of germs and things.
Oh, yeah.
So what I would suggest you look at, and something that everyone enjoys getting if it's scaled to their comfort sets, tools. Power screwdrivers and drills and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think of all of this stuff because I don't think of it because I've got a lot of that kind of stuff. I've got the power screwdriver, and I've got a wide assortment of tools, far more than any nerd really should have. But
I know, and we're taking them away.
Yeah, usually I go and I buy those, but you're right. This is something that's really good. So anyways, that's the voice of Marty Winston. He's usually covering the 40-year house. That's an entire just amazing project that he's in the middle of and continuing. And we will be back, of course, with more Computer Talk Radio in just a moment.
Hi, this is Benjamin Rockwell. Most of us use digital cameras nowadays, but what do we do with those old pictures and slides in the back of the closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. If you have boxes of old slides, then you know they fade more and more each year. Let Legacy Digital scan them for you and stop the aging process dead in its tracks. You'll get beautiful 10-megapixel digital files, color-corrected and ready for printing. All this is done faster and cheaper than buying a film scanner and doing it yourself. Your files are then burned onto gold archival DVD discs where they will last for generations. Call right now, mention my name, Benjamin Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. And tell them Benjamin sent you. Your memories are priceless, so call 866-2-LEGACY now.
Keith M. Sedor is a Mac. Benjamin Rockwell is a PC. I think a fanboy fight is about to start.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. Keith M. Santa joins me now.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, Benjamin. Keith could not actually join us today, so I stopped down from the North Pole to see my favorite chrome-domed elf, and I wanted to broadcast with you messages of holiday joy and wonderful technology gift-giving. Ho, ho, ho.
Last week, we talked about all kinds of different Apple gifts and a lot of the stocking stuffers for the Apple enthusiast. What are some of the things that come to mind for people who are buying gifts? That, of course, Santa brings his own stuff, but things that are not in the Apple store.
Well, Benjamin, I'm glad you asked, because I'm always having to make extra trips to China to get those, where I have those manufactured for all the good little boys and girls.
You're talking the iPhones, yeah?
Of course.
And the iPads and
The naughty boys and girls, they get the Samsung Galaxy Note 7.
Oh, man, that joke is just on fire. Oh, sorry, that was bad.
Coal makes itself at that point.
Oh, wow. So seriously, what comes to mind? What are some of the things that are not in the Apple Store that you look at them and you go, that's tech and I like that?
Well, Santa's very busy at the North Pole, so I'm always in need of help of a digital assistant. Now, normally when I'm using my iPhone, I'm using Siri, but I had an opportunity to check out the Amazon Echo recently and the Amazon Echo Dot with Alexa. And let me tell you, I was quite impressed with the setup of the device.
Yes.
Check this out, Benjamin. I was setting up a wireless network for Mrs. Claus when Alexa notified me that it was no longer connected to the internet. And I said, well, how about that? So I went to the iOS app for Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
It had me wirelessly join the Amazon Echo.
Mm-hmm.
It then guided me to join the actual wireless network it needed to join. And then following the setup, it actually switched me back to my correct network on my phone. I was quite impressed. You don't see that sort of ingenuity at the North Pole. We manufacture wooden toys and things we have to wind up shipping to the island of misfit toys. I mean, who wants a Charlie in the box anyway?
Oh, man. What else comes to mind when you're for people who are planning
good
gifts?
Little boys and girls that are not quite young boys and girls anymore. So nostalgia is a very big factor, Benjamin. We like retro gaming from the 80s, and you'll remember the Atari 2600. You remember how they became all of the games encapsulated into one tiny little shrunk down version of the original consoles?
Yes, of course.
Well, this year brings us two brand new consoles, a miniaturized version of the ColecoVision. That's a favorite. Santa loves some Donkey Kong and Zaxxon.
Wow. I had no idea they were doing that.
And even cooler than that, for some of our 90s children, the original Nintendo Entertainment System. And to look at it in a photograph, it looks exactly the same, except it is 1/4 the size, and all of the games are built into it.
Yeah, that Nintendo Classic is just amazing. That's a hard one to get, too.
But they're very economical and very well priced and an excellent, excellent value.
Except on eBay when they're...
Well, you know, you'll have that sometimes, Benjamin. Santa can't be everywhere. He's not omnipresent. I get everywhere in one night, but I can't be everywhere at once. Now,
Good
for
point.
some gift recipients who might not be full-on technology enthusiasts, they might like something that you order online, like perhaps some cooking services. You heard of Blue Apron and others of the sort, where basically you get a subscription to all the ingredients you'll need for dinner in a box. And you can subscribe to these services and give them as gifts. And let me tell you, they are much more greatly received than a Hickory Farms cheesy Swissy nut log.
Oh, man. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
You've never had Peppy Jack or a Swissy nut log, Benjamin?
I haven't had anything from Hickory Farms since I was probably 18.
I'll tell you another thing that's helpful, Benjamin. Sometimes you need the convenience of charging, but you simply don't have enough USB ports. Dongles are the wave of the future, as are adapters. And let me tell you, when somebody has one of these in their bag, it can be a godsend. Absolutely wonderful to have. One of the things Santa likes to have in his sleigh, a USB charger that plugs into the 12-volt adapter of your vehicle, in this case Santa's sleigh, and that also has prongs that flip up so you can take it out of your vehicle and plug it into any standard AC port, so you are only carrying one adapter, but you have multiple charging options. This is
I like that idea. That is a very neat concept, because we're always struggling. Amy, why do you carry around two of them or three different charging options?
Yes, indeed, Benjamin. Another thing that is great for people who are absent-minded on your list is the Tile. The Tile is a small little locator chip that you add to your keychain or your luggage or anywhere else, and you can track it right online.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool
I
stuff.
see you have the Tile I left in your stocking for you last.
Yes. I have it here, and it is quite awesome.
Benjamin, you are quite awesome. You have managed to stay off of the naughty list once again this year.
Well, thank you very much, Santa. Hey, Santa, do me a favor. Give out the website for the other guy.
The website for Keith M. Sedor is mymacguru.com. Also at facebook.com/mymacguru.
This is Benjamin Rockwell.
And I am Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. Benjamin Rockwell will be back in just a moment. And if you've been good little boys and girls, I'll be around on Christmas Eve. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and just a normal person. Recently, though, it was clear to me that it was time to upgrade, but I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After searching around for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround.
In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when a 32-ounce soda would do. These guys know WordPress, Joomla, and regular standard websites. These guys at SiteGround are awesome. SiteGround.com. Site, S-I-T-E, ground.com. If you've been listening to the show for very long, you know that I mix sound for my church. Sound, my ears, everything. As a matter of fact, here we go. This weekend, right now, this is the big, huge pageant weekend at my church. Guess where I'm at? Right now. Yeah, this is pre-recorded, so I can tell you that right now, while you're listening to this, I am probably at church. If you're on the podcast, maybe I'm not at church at this point, but you've got the idea. I'm passionate about sound. Your hearing is different than my hearing. Your friends' hearing, your spouse's hearing, your kids' hearing, your parents' hearing, whoever it is, everybody's hearing is a little bit different. Now imagine being able to tune a set of earbuds or a set of headphones to be perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect. The sound will be just the way the person intended it when they were in the recording studio making the final mix of your favorite song. Well, we can do that. We can do that today through new technology. There is a company out there, and I received these earbuds just a matter of a couple of days ago. And I've been quite amazed at this concept and the sound so far. I haven't tested these for the long haul. I haven't tested these out over the course of a matter of a month or whatever. I've only had them for a few days. But the company is called Even. The website geteven.co. The co, not .com. And what it does is you basically put these earbuds in, or the headphones. You put the headphones on, and then you press you power on the headphones. And then actually you can do a double click. And what happens is after you do that double click, it goes through and it does a hearing test. This voice just appears and she walks you through, and it goes, basically, we're going to play something over on your left ear, we're going to play something in your right ear, and we want you to click as soon as you hear it. And you walk through this. It takes, 2 minutes. But the difference, the subtle changes that they make in the equalization of the earbuds make everything just a little bit. Well, we use an acoustical term. It's not really an acoustical term. We use this musical term. It has a shine. Okay, but that refers to a particular sound, a particular kind of sound that we're dealing with. But I'll say that it's kind of like having a car, and you've shined up the car. That's what this sounds like. It's like you've got a brand new car wash and you feel good about the car. This helps you feel good about the music that you're listening to, and you're listening and you're going, I haven't heard it quite this clear, quite this even, quite this amazing. Yeah, this is on a par. I'm going to say this is on a par with the headphones that I use in the studio. It is one of those concepts that's just amazing that they've just dialed it in, and I'm going to be following up even more. Get it? Because the company name is Even. The website, geteven.co. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
Gigabyte, kilobyte, terabyte, megabyte, all this stuff makes my brain megahertz. Bringing you the latest in computers and gadgetry, here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-637-3888. You know this. I'm a computer nerd. I'm ashamed to admit it. No, I'm not. One of the lines I always loved, be nice to nerds. You may wind up working for one someday. That supposedly was said by Bill Gates, of all people. But you know what? We're here to help you. Whatever your technology issue is, whatever your computer problems are, we love to help you with this stuff. One of the things I do want to give you a little bit of guidance on, one of the things that really has really become kind of a rough thing has been a matter of what we're doing with our manners. What are we doing out there that really has just changed not only us, but how we treat other people? And look, I'm just as guilty of a couple of these things here, just because, well, some of these things are not they're not really people things. Many of them are. Many of them are completely people things. You've heard me talk about one of the biggest ones, which is just stopping dead in the middle of the pavement. You're walking along, and you just come to a dead stop, and then people are having to duck around you. And this doesn't matter whether you're at the mall, you're out on a sidewalk, you're wherever you are in public. I have run down people because they just weren't paying attention to where they were going. Or worse yet, yes, people have come to a dead stop in front of me, and I've plowed into them. And I'm a big guy. You know what? I've got some momentum going. I've got, that whole, mass thing. You kind of got to steer clear. If you're a small person and you dead stop in front of me, you could wind up getting hurt. Just saying, I actually hurt someone about a week ago. Not intentionally. I was just walking along, and he was shorter, and I turned basically I turned to look in a store as I was walking along, and he just stopped dead stop. He had been walking halfway through the mall at that point, and boom, I just ran him down, and I didn't really hurt him, but you get the idea. One of the other items is basically striking up conversations with strangers on text messages. Okay, look, if you have the wrong person, that's one thing. If you admit, oh, hey, you're the wrong person. But if you go through and you start having a long, detailed conversation about what I think about this, that, or the other thing, whatever the original comment was, or maybe even new comments, that's kind of rude. You start quizzing me down. I haven't had this one happen. My wife has. My wife was carrying on a conversation with someone for about 5 minutes, text conversation back and forth. And I'm like, who are you texting? She goes, I have no idea. What are you telling them? Well, she hadn't told them anything like a deep, dark secret, but it was kind of creepy because they kept on texting her back. They kept on going back and forth. Like, just end it. Say, I don't know who you are. Bye-bye. Talk to you later. Maybe not, because I don't know who you are. Weird stuff. Here's one that really, I've had this happen to me a number of times, where somebody's shown up at my house, and they've said, hey, what's your Wi-Fi password? Excuse me? Yeah, I actually have a secure Wi-Fi password because, I don't want people on my Wi-Fi. I've got a number of different things here that have to do with clients, that have to do with my job, that have to do with, this radio show. I don't really release out this password to a whole lot of people. Okay, but the reality is I had thought that way for a while, and then I just set up another Wi-Fi access point for my guests. It's completely segregated. It's on its own little thing. So they aren't going to be communicating on my system. But not everybody has that. There's just this natural assumption that, hey, I'm over at a friend's house. I know I haven't seen you in 2 years, but you want to give me your Wi-Fi password? What? No. Don't do it. Don't ask for it. Don't share it. Here's another one. And this is kind of a rough one, and we're going down a very, very awkward road where we are starting to check our phones in mid-conversation. We get in a text message. We get in all kinds of stuff, and we keep looking over at the phones. Now, there are rare occasions, I believe, where this is acceptable. When are they acceptable? Okay, I may be in the middle of dealing with a server. I may be going through and dealing with a bunch of different things with that server. And I may be rebooting that server and dealing with that. And you may have shown up while I was doing that. That gives me a little bit of leeway. But if you're in my home and I'm not doing anything work-related, I'm going to ignore my phone. If I'm over at your house and I'm not doing anything work-related, I'm going to ignore my phone. Why? Because you, whoever's in front of me, are the most important people at that moment. Think about it. Ignore your phone. You do not have to respond to every text message. You do not have to respond to every Facebook like or dislike or whatever may show up. Not right now. Wait for it. Here's another one. Plugging in your phone anywhere. I don't care where. This just boggles my mind where people come up to me all the time and say, "Hey, do you have a place where I can plug in my iPhone?" Excuse me? And I'm not talking at my house. I'm talking at my office. I've had people doing that. I overheard someone when I was at the doctor's office. They were asking if they could just plug into the wall over there. And I was surprised when the receptionist said, "Oh, sure, why not?" Here's the deal, though. Look, I understand in certain places. You're at a Starbucks. They've got electricity all over the place for you to plug in. But if you're at somebody's house, unless you've got to be really desperate for charging opportunities if you're doing this. Look, keep your phone plugged in when you're in the car. Keep your phone charged up. If you cannot last a day without charging your phone, get one of those little add-on batteries. Get a portable battery that you can carry around. As a matter of fact, I keep one here in the studio. It's right here. As a matter of fact, it was just within reach. This one is from Unu, and this is a nice, healthy battery. It's 11,000 milliamps. So this thing has all kinds of charge to it. I can charge a phone without a problem right here. I can carry this around with me. I've got one in each of my backpacks that I carry around for that express purpose. So I don't have to ask somebody, hey, can I plug in here? And of course, one of the other ones, which, okay, I've done this, and it's getting a little crazy lately because I've heard people. I was in a restroom the other day, and on my left and on my right, there were people in the restroom. Obviously, men in the well, I don't know these days. These guys, just moving on. These guys, one on the left, one on the right, in their own particular stalls, and I hear video games going. Okay, I understand maybe checking your email with the sound turned off, but you're going to start raising the blood pressure of the people who are standing in line, waiting for the restroom, waiting for the facility. If they hear all of these little video games going on and, just Pac-Man or Centipede or, Angry Birds. Yeah, I start naming off some of those old school video games every once in a while just for fun, just to see if you're listening. Angry Birds, even. And that's still by today's standards somewhat old school. But yeah, look, try not to do any of the things I've been talking about. But that's just me. This is Benjamin Rockwell, and you're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back with more in just a moment.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. I'm feeling nostalgic all of a sudden. I'm feeling like talking about something that takes us back quite a ways. If you think about your first computer, when you first started to really say, hey, I want a computer, most people start thinking about, oh, hey, I wanted a Hewlett-Packard, whatever it was. I wanted a laptop. I wanted something that was, well, by the time you started really coveting it, really just wanting one of these or realizing you needed to get into computing, you were probably many years after I had already purchased not only one or two or even a half dozen of these computers that I'm going to talk about. Because I did actually, some of these, not only did I covet them, I actually went through and I bought them. Some of these that I'm going to talk about, I owned along the way. And there were so many of them. There were so many that I would look at magazines like Popular Science and say, oh, I want one of those. Oh, I could do this. I could do that. Some of them were really exciting. And I'm going to leave off some of the obvious ones. The Commodore 64. I recall learning on a Commodore VIC-20 and a Commodore PET We're talking these are computers that are circa 1980, 81, and then 83, 84. No, the pad actually was a wider range. I remember looking in some of these magazines, and I was a matter of, I remember the Sinclair ZX80. This was in 1980, and this was probably one of the smallest fully functional desktop PCs of its day. Now, it did look like something out of Star Trek at the time. The keyboard was a membrane-style keyboard. Today we would think of it as a touch interface, but most people remember the concept of you would press on that location, and you'd have to press a little bit hard, much like that Force Touch or whatever they're calling it for the 3D Touch for the iPhone. And its price back then was about $200. That, of course, when we start looking at the money for today, that was a $500 PC. That was something that was distinctly significant in price then. But its entire existence was kind of early in the computing field. It had no sound. It had no color in the video support. You could plug it up to a television, but it didn't leave you a whole lot of room to work with. It only had 1 kilobyte of memory to program with. 1 kilobyte. That is so small. Your basic programs, most of the basic programs we deal with today are they're measured in hundreds of megabytes. Even the ones on our various smartphones, they're running 20 megabytes. 20 megabytes. And we had a kilobyte. It takes 1,000 kilobytes to come up with 1 megabyte. In 1981, the ZX81 came along, and it was also referred to as the Timex Sinclair 1000. That was the purpose-built United States version. The original ZX80 was cool. It was available here in the United States, but there were some little oddities about it that you had to work with. And Timex hooked up with the Sinclair folks. The Sinclair was the folks off in England, and came out with twice the amount of RAM as before. Twice the amount. So it's 2 kilobytes. And it was $100 too. Which was, again, it was still a lot of money in those days. A matter of $100 in those days could get you quite a healthy meal. I remember my first car was about $500. Yeah, I was 10 years old, and it was in really good. It was drivable condition. Today, a drivable condition car in that kind of frame and all of that, you're talking a couple of $1,000 maybe. I don't know. I haven't really. I don't really shop for cars in that range, but you get the idea. Epson had something called the HX20. Along the way, I had one of these. I didn't have one of the ZX80s or 81s. The HX20 was a little readout. It was a glorified typewriter, is what it was. It had the readout was really, really basic. You could take notes with it. It had a little micro cassette drive for storage. When I had it, it was many years later. But the neat thing about it, it was light. A lot of the desktop computer systems, even the portable systems, in 81, we're talking, okay, I've got a couple of Osborne portables. Those Osborne portables weigh whatever it is. I think it's 23 pounds a piece. They're heavy. They're monstrously heavy because the handle is just this solid piece of plastic wrapped around metal, and it just bites into your hand. It's uncomfortable to carry those around. So this HX20 really took off. and this was kind of an amazing thing for them. In 1980, Radio Shack, TRS-80, TRS-80 in the 80s, TRS-80 had, which stood for Tandy Radio Shack, by the way, had a number of different items in there. The Model 1, the Model 3, those were built mostly for professional use, but you could find those in the direction for home computing if you wanted them as well. And that was actually a really neat concept. I had, in the late 80s, I had a TRS-80 Model 1 for myself. My mom had a Model 3. I also had the pocket computers. The pocket computers were kind of neat. You could program them, and they had, depending on which version, whether it was the PC-1, the PC-2, the PC-3, or PC-4, I had all but the PC-3 over the years. And it had varying length displays. It had a nice little keyboard. A couple of them actually allowed you to plug up a printer to them. A little thermal printer. It might be sort of along the lines of what we might do a receipt printer with, except a little bit smaller. Those little receipts that you get whenever you go to whatever restaurant, those are done on thermal printers usually. And that was the same kind of concept. You could do, I remember there was a way for you to track just a very basic cash register out of one of those. Now, where did I find the program for that? I had to copy it out of a magazine. I had to type it in, but it was absolutely cool. It was wonderful. I felt empowered by something like this. Empowered. We don't even think about that concept of being empowered by such a small, simple little program that didn't keep track of the individual receipts, didn't keep track of anything more than being able to print out the receipt, put down how much money you brought in and how much was in the till. And it was kind of funny because when I had that, I wasn't in retail. I was not even old enough to really hold down a real job. But it was exciting. It was fascinating. This was a glimpse for me as to how we could approach the future and how we could be more business-like. And there's more. There's many more computers that I'm going to talk about here in a moment here on Computer Talk Radio. Stick with me. We'll be back in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get the things that are on my nerd wish list. It's not easy. There are so many stores that have gone out of business. There are so many shady characters online, or so many of them are just simply not capable of handling my needs in a one-stop shop. In 1979, two guys got together and built the brick-and-mortar company that could serve your tech needs. Of course, today, they've got an online presence, and it's called Micro Center. They've got tablets, iPad, yes, but also Android and Windows and all the accessories, too. They've got laptops, desktops, all-in-ones, Windows or Apple, of course, all covered here. Motherboards and processors, and okay, all right, who are we kidding? It's really everything to build your own PC. Keyboards, mice, surge protectors, software, tools, and thumb drives. Enough. Look, from Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. The early 1980s were filled with computers that I really enjoyed or I wanted, and so many of them that I had my hands on. And I just woke up today feeling kind of nostalgic, kind of thinking back to some of the different things that I had a chance to really work with and actually use a little bit or a lot. The website, of course, computertalkradio.com, and you can contact me. If you've had any of these, feel free to drop me a line and give me support on this. I'm wondering what your nostalgic memories are There were so many different interesting things along the way. I remember dealing with an Apple Lisa. This was, and we utilized a particular program. I think it was called Logo or Logos. It was a little turtle that you would direct around. It would draw, and you could have it draw so many things just by entering in the little commands. And that was an early form of programming. It was a programming language that encouraged youth, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, to explore computing, and they thought, let's give them something simple that they'll be fascinated with. The reality is, as we find out later on, that there are kids that are 12 years old that have #1 ranked style programs out there on the App Store. There was a kid, just brief aside here, there was a kid that he had the #1 downloaded game on the App Store a few years back, and he was 12 years old. And it was a neat little physics game. It was something simple and fun, but it was great to play with it. Amongst the computers along the way that I either coveted or actually had beyond the Apple IIe and the Apple II Plus and all of that, the TRS-80 Model 100. As a matter of fact, I can look on over here, and here in the studio, I have a Model 100 sitting right over there on the shelf. I'm pointing to it right now. It's actually a Model 100. I've had a Model 102 as well, and one of the best keyboards that I ever dealt with. It was an amazing computer. It was really well liked by the press, the journalists, and I will tell you, I, to this day, just love it. It's a great one for making notes, and I'm thinking, even though it's a big, huge, heavy thing compared to most other computers these days, I'm thinking of taking it to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, for Press Day, just for the nostalgia of it, just to hear the sound of it. It types really loud, so people will be looking over at me going, "What are you doing? That is so weird." Yeah, that's it. That's the sound of the keyboard. It's one of those things where who would have thought to put up with something like that? But again, one of the greatest keyboards around. There was another one that I had. It was the Seiko UC2000. That was the very first Seiko watch that I had, and it was a little programmable. It was more of a gadget than anything else. It was more of a data storage device, and you had a special programming keyboard that you could put stuff in, but you could also use it as a little computer terminal for typing programs in BASIC. Yeah, Microsoft BASIC. When you powered it up in BASIC, it actually had copyright 1983. I'm looking at a little picture of it right now. Just some of the notes that I have here. The TRS-80, we can get back into the Radio Shack stuff. There were so many of these. The TI-99-4A, of course, but the TRS-80 color computer, I had one of those. And then there was also the MC-10, which was a smaller version of the color computer. And I think actually that the MC-10 came before the color computer. Maybe I think they came in about the same time. This was something that allowed people to really get inexpensive computers. As a matter of fact, when it came out in '83 at $120, it was the world's cheapest color-capable PC at its time. Oh, the TRS-80 color computer, which a lot of people really didn't take seriously, but they should have, that actually preceded it. I've got that here in the notes. And then Texas Instruments had a compact computer 40, which was, I don't know, it was sort of the competition, if you will, for sort of in between the PC1, PC2, PC4, and the Model 100 that I had. So it was more than a glorified calculator, but it wasn't quite as much as that keyboard you heard a moment ago. All of these things over the years, all of these different competitors in the real early 80s just kept on coming up with different small approachable computers. A lot of these serve the basis for where I'm at today. Even Sinclair, their last effort after selling over millions of units on those the ZX80 and the ZX81, I remember looking at the ZX Spectrum. That actually sold over 5 million units back in its day. And it was kind of funny because those 5 million units, it was a 3.5 megahertz Z80 processor. It had color graphics. It still used BASIC, and it had a whopping 16K of RAM. It actually had moved beyond the membrane keyboard by then. They had put in a little chiclet style keyboard. We haven't seen chiclet, or we didn't see chiclet for a long time, and then it's kind of returned in popularity in recent years. I'm not a fan of the chiclet keyboard, but back then I thought that looked so cool. It was so awesome. It looked everything about that. So I was reading in Popular Science, I want one of these. Oh, hey, over here on page 87, I want one of these. Oh, here on page 94, I want one of those. It was so fun. It was, just all of these things that I dreamed about. And, to this day, I still look back with fondness. This is Benjamin Rockwell, and of course, you're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back with more in just a moment.
Hey guys, this is Benny Rockwell. Most of us use video cameras nowadays, but what about those old movie films in the back of your closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. Imagine Grandpa's old 8mm and 16mm films that are just sitting in a box getting old and fading away. Legacy Digital will clean and recondition those films, capture them digitally frame by frame, and then produce beautiful DVDs of your precious memories on long-lasting, archive-quality discs. They don't use a projector, and your films can't be damaged in the process, the best available for families like yours. The final results are gorgeous. What better way to preserve those precious memories for future generations? Call right now, mention my name, Benny Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. 1-866-253-4229. And tell them Benny sent you. Your memories are priceless. So call 866-2-LEGACY now.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. We are in the middle of the Christmas buying season. There's all kinds of different things we've got going on, and it's important that you are able to reach us. That's why we've got the website. That's why we use the email, computertalkradio.com. Slowly scroll down. Actually, right now, it's close to the top. It says contact us. You can do that. We will get back with you. That's all of us, including Steve Keske, who joins me now here on Computer Talk Radio. Steve, what do you have for us this week during this wonderful Christmas season? What has you cheery?
How about a few little items here?
Okay.
That you can get for these people that, you want to get something special for.
Okay.
How about an antique gold-plated 32-gigabyte flash drive?
So kind of steampunk, if you would, right?
Not quite. No,
it's gold-plated, not brass, all right?
That's right. It's gold-plated. You see, it goes back to when, I don't know about you, but when I was a child, we used to have these bicycle chains with these little locks on them that you could spin. That's the same. They using that lock mechanism. so that when you slide it together, and you lock it up by spinning the wheels, you can't get your USB out.
Okay.
Until you put in the right combination. Then it pulls out, and now you can plug in your 32 gigabyte.
Nice. I've seen a number of different flash drives these days that have some very nice looks to them. It used to be that they were very functional and very just, I don't know. It just seemed to be kind of I don't know. Just it was plastic. These days, I know you can get them in wood. That's actually that's one that I saw a while back, but that has really caught on. A number of companies are putting out. As a matter of fact, there was one that I saw, I don't know, a few weeks ago when I was doing some shopping. Saw it online. I think it was on Amazon. It was in a wood box that was stained the same color as the wood that was on that thumb drive. And that was it just looked beautiful. It was blue, so it was kind of this it was good for like someone who lives on the ocean. That was kind of the feel I got, the design element for it.
Sure. And there's a lot more of those out there. Now, how about, for that techie guy that you have, or person.
Yeah.
Or persons. And, they're always got, in your PC, you always got cables going all over the place.
Sure, yeah.
Well, Blue Lounge, Blue Lounge came out with a nice little rubberized cable caddy. So that you can put it on the wall if you've got cables like for your tablet net that you want only use when you're coming at home, and you just stick those nice little cables up there, and you just bring them down when you need them. Or it'll go on a flat desktop or anything like that that'll hold your cake and organize your cables for you.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Now, here's a goodie for all of you out there. How about Logitech has came out with the K310 keyboard. That's totally washable. Now, if you got kids in your family that want to use your PC, you got a keyboard. And you know how kids are; they like to spill stuff.
Oh, sure, yeah. Kids can be a disaster sometimes.
That's right. So here you are. You take and unplug the keyboard once they spill something on it. Take it in the kitchen. You rinse it off with warm water, or in case it dries, you can use a little bit of soap in there. Not much, but anyway, rinse it off real good. Let it air dry, and once it's air dried, you plug it right back in.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of this, a number of pictures actually here on online, and I'm noticing. So what it is it's in the membrane-style washable keyboard inside, but it has the solid physical keys that we are so accustomed to. I like this. This is something that. I think we could use this at the office. I know that I'm always going through the big, huge rubberized membrane keyboards. Our guys seem to, because we're in a manufacturing environment, all sorts of dust. They're destroying one of those. They're supposed to be indestructible. We still manage to destroy them about once every 6 to 8 months, I think.
Here's a good one for you, because I know you work in a nice office. Okay, how about your own personal microclimate?
I'm sorry, microclimate?
Yes. It cleans your air for you, and it makes sure that you got the right temperature and all that, all at your desk.
Wow. Okay, so how does it do that? It's got its own little built-in heater and fan.
It's got everything all nicely rigged.
Filter and, oh, wow. Very cool. That sounds like, for somebody who works in an office a lot, like myself, but there are a lot of people out there. That's what they do. They're chained to their desk all day, long. And yeah, adjusting for the weather, that's actually a good idea. This is Benjamin Rockwell, and that's Steve Keske. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back with my closing comments in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and, well, a normal person. Recently, though, it became clear to me that it was time to upgrade. I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After looking for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their care, their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when all I needed was a 1-gallon bucket. The folks at SiteGround know WordPress, Joomla, and more. SiteGround.com. SITE ground.com for your web hosting needs. SiteGround. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not planning on forcing you to stop tech. I'm a nerd. I love tech. But think through this plan that I've got for you here this Christmas season. First, set aside times for when you're going to tech it up. This goes for the whole family. When are you going to go online to update Facebook, tweet, text, etc.? Plan a few times for you to all keep connected with the outside world. But I want you to keep that Christmas holiday special for the entire family, if you can. If you're a nerdier household, you can use technology to watch good family fare, a movie about the real reason for Christmas, or even Google the meaning of Christmas and discuss this. But this really leads into my second item, and that is, I want you to talk. I want you to talk about Christmas. Talk about anything, really. That ritual of being around the dinner table is really ideal for this time of year, but it's gone away. It's great all the time, but especially now. I want you to think about your favorite memories of growing up. And I don't know that you're going to think back and go, oh yeah, those toys were absolutely awesome. But you're going to remember the laughter that you had with your family and the discussions at the dinner table. Those conversations, they can go in all kinds of different directions. Religious topics. And I'll tell you, one of the better discussions this year is not about the divisive politics, but simply something along the lines of Thanksgiving. What God has brought you. I mean, you don't have to limit Thanksgiving to God to just that one day of Thanksgiving. I mean, we can talk about the reason for the season. No, not gifts. The birth of a little baby that was predicted by many people in many different ways over many centuries. Read the account. You know what? If you want to use tech for this, you want to open up your YouVersion Bible app or whatever it is you've got, that's cool. But talk about it. Maybe pray together. Now, of course, you may not be a religious household. You can talk about the fun memories with your family and make some new ones here as well. Don't get into all the rest of the political side of, the Bible says this and the Bible says that. No. Talk about the basics of the birth of Jesus if you really have to get into religion. But you can talk about other things. Talk about tech. Talk about what this coming year is going to bring your household. My thought is that you connect with your family. I want you to create plans right now to be away from tech, at home and away from home. Spending time creating priceless memories here is what I'm looking for. Whether it's getting outside and sledding or going to church together or whatever it is. Yeah, take some photos with the smartphones and post pictures as a family, but don't get stuck on this whole tech stuff. Save that for the times when you're teching it up. Play games, not video games, board games, card games, chess, checkers, Chinese checkers, puzzles, kites, snowmen, just moving around and having fun. That's my wish for you. That's my Christmas wish for your family. Yeah, I'm a nerd telling you to just put the iPhone down. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. We'll catch you next week.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time.